Old Trafford saw 8 goals, 4 leads thrown away, a game United should have won at least twice. But strip away the chaos, the defending, the heart rate monitor stuff, and this game actually told us a lot about where Man United really are under Ruben Amorim. Because in amongst the madness, one player stood above the rest. The attack showed its ceiling, the midfield showed its limits, and the same problems refused to go away. Here are 5 things we learned from Man United 4 Bournemouth 4. 1. Amad Diallo is Man United's best player right now. At this point, it needs to be said clearly, without qualifiers or hype. Amad Diallo is Manchester United's best player right now. Not most talented, not most exciting, but best. From the first minute, Amad played like someone who understood the stakes of the game. He wanted the ball, he demanded it in tight spaces, he took the responsibility when United were pushing and when they were wobbling. The goal itself summed him up perfectly. Not flashy, not lucky, just alert and switched on, anticipating danger quicker than anyone else on the pitch. Cunha's header is saved. Amad is already moving. Header, goal, job done. But it wasn't just the goal. Amad was constantly driving United forward. He was aggressive in duels, brave receiving the ball with his back to goal, and relentless in pressing. When United looked disjointed defensively, Amad was still sprinting back, still competing, and still doing the ugly work. This wasn't one-off performance. This was into purple patch. This looked like a player who understands what Amorim wants and is executing it at a level others simply aren't matching. At the moment, if United needs something to happen, Amad is the one making it happen, and that tells his own story. But now we're not going to have that because he's going to AFCON. United attack can overwhelm teams. For all the frustration of this result, one thing was crystal clear. Man United's attack can overwhelm teams when it clicks. 4 goals, multiple chances, constant movement, interchanges that actually made sense. Amad, Cunha, Mbeumo and Bruno created chaos whenever United played with tempo. Bournemouth struggled badly when United went direct, broke lines quickly and attacked with conviction. Cunha's performance deserves credit here. His movement between the lines, his willingness to shoot, his composure on the 4th goal, all of it stretched Bournemouth defense. Mbeumo's miss will dominate the headlines, but his overall involvement was important in dragging defenders around. This wasn't hopeful football, this wasn't aimless crossing, this was structured aggression. The worrying thing though is that United only look this dangerous when games become stressed and chaotic, when control is lost. United come alive. When calm is required, that's when the problems creep in. So yes, the attack is good enough, the ceiling is high, but football matches aren't won in chaos alone. Bruno Fernandes is still the difference maker. In the middle of all that chaos, Bruno Fernandes did what Bruno Fernandes always does. He stepped up. At 3-3 with Old Trafford bouncing but nervous, Bruno takes responsibility. Free kick, no hesitation, no theatrics, just execution. Top corner and game on. That goal wasn't just quality, it was leadership. It was composure when United desperately needed someone to slow the moment down and take control. This wasn't one of Bruno's high volume, everything goes through him games. This was a mature performance, picking moments, managing tempo, taking responsibility when it mattered most. For all the debates around systems and roles, this match reinforced one thing. United are still heavily dependent on Bruno Fernandes. When United wobble, they look to him. When they need belief, he provides it. And when chaos reigns, he is still the player trusted to deliver clarity. That's both a compliment and a concern at the same time. Substitutions changed the game, for better or worse. Ruben Amorim's substitution summed up his United tenure so far. Brave, impactful, but not without consequence. The introductions of Menu, Sesko and Martinez gave United fresh energy. The front line became sharper, the movement improved, United regained the lead and looked like they might finally put the game to bed. Sesko's involvement in the 4th goal was excellent. Quick thinking, good decision making, perfect execution, and that goal doesn't happen without the subs. But here's the flip side. With every attacking improvement, United looked looser without the ball. Defensive structure suffered. The distances between midfield and defense widened. Bournemouth found space again and again. And this isn't about blaming the substitutions, it's about the lack of balance in the squad. Amorim is forced to chase control with players who offer energy and not stability. The changes helped United attack better, but they did not help United defend better, and that's the trade-off Amorim is constantly managing right now. Man United need a midfielder urgently. If there was one takeaway that stood above everything else, it was this. Man United need a midfielder and they need one urgently. Bournemouth ran through United far too easily, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. And here's the point. It didn't matter who was playing. It happened with Casemiro on the pitch and it happened after Kobe came on. That tells you that this isn't an individual problem, it's structural. Casemiro struggled to cover ground and protect transitions. Menu brought composure, but Bournemouth still bypassed the midfield with alarming ease. There was no consistent screening of the defence, no one controlling space, no one slowing the game now. And every time United lost the ball high up the pitch, Bournemouth had a clear route through midfield. One pass, one carry, and the backline is exposed. That cannot continue. United don't just need legs, they need authority, a midfielder who can dominate space, read danger early, and impose control when the game starts slipping. Until that player arrives, United will keep having games like these, entertaining, dramatic, but ultimately frustrating. Man United scored 4 goals at Old Trafford and still couldn't win. That sums up where this team is right now. There is talent, there is progress in attack. There are players like Amad stepping up and taking responsibility, but there are also familiar flaws. A midfield that can be bypassed, a defense that struggles under pressure because of the midfield, and a team still learning how to manage moments. This wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't a step forward either. It was a reminder of how close United are and how far they still have to go.